We finally have some good news for AEW, and that is the fact that their show last Saturday, Collision, actually did a good rating. To everyone's surprise, I was shocked. The rating was okay. The rating was pretty good compared to what they normally do. However, the bad news for AEW is the rating had absolutely nothing to do with them, and they were saved by the Alabama versus Yukon game on TNT. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. Collision did a decent number. It did its best viewership overall since February 10th this year, and it also did its best demographic since February 10th this year. But what is the catch? Well, the catch is they basically got all their views from the lead-in of the Alabama-Yukon game, which had a 38-minute post-game average of 2.12 million viewers. After that finished, people just began to drop off from AEW, and I need to do the maths again, and we will cover this more in the quarter-by-quarter breakdowns, but I believe Collision lost over 800,000 viewers between the first quarter and the last quarter. Now, I guess you can argue, I mean, they're happy just to get that many views in the first place, and I believe they did their first ever Collision quarter with over 1 million views, but again, it's nothing to do with them. It's because of this basketball game. So, I mean, yeah, it looks good number, and you can try and spin it whatever way you want, but at the end of the day, anyone who's been honest here knows that if that basketball game wasn't on, AEW Collision would likely be looking at its worst rating ever. And, I mean, that's not necessarily anything wrong with that, because, I mean, it was WrestleMania weekend, and they did have a lot of a much later start time. So, look, I'm not saying that they should have done a great rating tonight, but let's not get carried away here, because like I said, this is purely because of that basketball game. Now, this episode is up 1% on last week. Last week did 458,000. This week did 463,000. I think without the lead in that basketball, I think Collision is possibly dropping, I want to say possibly dropping under 300,000. Now, I get it was WrestleMania. It works both ways. You can argue that people after Mania might be burnt out. They don't want to watch any more wrestling. But I think you also have a small portion of like diehards that will just who love wrestling, can't get enough of it, and after WrestleMania finished, they probably were happy to go straight in and watch Collision. So, yeah, is what it is. Plus, I think if you look at the timing, maybe the reason, and we will discuss this more in the quarter-by-quarter breakdown, but I think the reason why Collision might have held up, and I say held up, they lost 800,000, but I think the reason they might have not lost more is because perhaps people after WrestleMania were watching the post-match press conference, the post-show press conference, and then possibly by the time that finished, Collision was already on. So you might have got people tuning in from that to Collision. So yeah, we will look at those ratings more, but like I said, best viewership and best demographic since February 10th, 2024. If you just look at that, then you're thinking, wow, this was impressive considering it was WrestleMania weekend. But you've got to look at other factors, and the other factors suggest that AEW didn't really do this rating. This was nothing to do with AEW and more to do what was on around it. So yeah, that is it, guys. Collision here. Like I said, it's every week it's poor. I think they need to move it. I know it was moved this week. I just don't think a show on a Saturday is going to do that well. I would probably move Collision to a Friday. Why not? Why not put it on a Friday after SmackDown? Or if they just want to keep Rampage there, I mean, move it to a Tuesday. Probably means TNA is screwed, but TNA is screwed anyway because it sucks. So yeah, I mean, if I was Tony Khan, I would get Collision moved. It just, for me, it shouldn't be on. It just shouldn't be on a Saturday. Now, maybe it works for Tony Khan being on a Saturday because you've got Rampage on a Friday. I don't really know the way he likes to tape his shows. Maybe he thinks it's better that Collision comes last at the free shows. But for me, I would even, I'm honest to God, I would rather put Collision head-to-head with a WWE show. Even if it's not NXT, I would rather put Collision head-to-head with either Raw or SmackDown. Because at least you've got a chance of taking fans away from those shows. Now, yeah, you could lose some of your own fans, but I think the AEW fans are more likely to watch AEW over WWE. That's just my opinion. I think they've got that kind of niche audience where they've got the more diehard fans, and I think you've got more chance of picking up more fans on a Monday night against Raw than you do on a Saturday. Like the casual fan or the average fan, they just don't really want to watch wrestling on a Saturday night. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here with these ratings. I don't think they're going to improve, to be honest. For me, Collision needs to move. A Saturday show I always thought was a bad idea. And then, like, you have sports on a lot Saturdays. You have WWE doing premium live events on a Saturday as well. It's just not a good time to have a wrestling show. But Tony Khan should have known this. Whatever. He's the boss. He decided this. That's up to him. If he fucked up, then he fucked up. He needs more people advising him. But yeah, decent rating for Collision, but when you look at the actual details and reasoning behind it, you'll realise that it wasn't really anything to do with All Elite Wrestling and more to do with the stuff that was on before it. That's it, guys. Catch you in the next one, quarter by quarter hour breakdown ratings coming soon. Till then, peace.